The Galactic Apex hunting competition was the most prestigious event in the known universe. Held once every 7 galactic standard cycles on the deadliest planet the committee could find, it brought together the fiercest hunters from across the cosmos. Species that had evolved into perfect killing machines would send their champions to compete for the coveted Apex trophy and the universal bragging rights that came with it. The orbiting station above planet Nox 5 buzzed with activity as the competition's officiator, moderator Krelmix, stared at the registration form hovering before him. His 17 eyes blinked in rapid succession, a clear sign of distress among the Veltraxian species. "This can't be right," Krelmix muttered, his voice synthesizer struggling to convey his disbelief. "A human has entered the competition." His assistant, a gelatinous being named Plorg, oozed closer to examine the form. "It appears legitimate, sir. The entry fee has been paid. All biometric data submitted." Krelmix's upper appendages twitched nervously. "But humans are. They're practically defenseless. No natural weapons to speak of. No venom. No significant physical advantages. Their planet isn't even particularly harsh." "Perhaps it's some sort of joke," Plorg suggested, his body rippling in what passed for a shrug among his kind. "The Apex hunt is no joke," Krelmix hissed. "The last competition had a 70% mortality rate. This human will be dead within minutes." As if summoned by their conversation, the doors to the registration chamber slid open with a pneumatic hiss. In walked the subject of their concern, a human male of average height and build, dressed in what appeared to be outdated exploration gear. He carried a simple bag over one shoulder and wore a disarming smile on his face. "Mac Reynolds, Earth," the human announced cheerfully, extending a hand toward the officials. "I believe I'm all checked in." Krelmix recoiled slightly at the offered appendage before reluctantly extending one of his own. "Yes, technically. Though I must warn you, Mr. Reynolds, this competition is designed for the most lethal species in the galaxy. As a human you are, well, woefully unprepared. Comically outmatched. Suicidally optimistic," Mac suggested, his smile never faltering. "I was going to say biologically disadvantaged, but yes, essentially." Mac laughed, a sound that caused several nearby competitors to turn their various sensory organs in his direction. "Don't worry about me. Humans have a few tricks up our sleeves." A deep rumbling voice from behind interrupted their conversation. "Is this the fresh meat I've been hearing about?" Mac turned to face Traz, the 6-armed champion from Gorgonex Prime. Standing nearly 3 meters tall with gleaming exoskeletal plates and serrated talons that could slice through spacecraft hull, Traz was the competition favorite. 4 of his arms were folded across his massive thorax while the other 2 gestured dismissively at the human. "Didn't your species only achieve interstellar travel in the last century?" Traz's mandibles clicked in what passed for laughter among his kind. "You should return to your homeworld, soft one. This is no place for creatures who evolved from prey species." Mac's smile didn't waver. "Maybe so. But I've always wondered what it would be like to hunt with the big boys. Figured this was my chance to find out." Traz's compound eyes narrowed. "It will be your last chance. We'll see," Mac replied with a casual wink that seemed to confuse the insectoid champion. As Traz moved away, Krelmix leaned toward the human. "He's won the last 3 competitions," he whispered. "And he's not even the most dangerous competitor this cycle." "Good." Mac nodded, suddenly looking genuinely pleased. "Wouldn't want this to be too easy." Krelmix and Plorg exchanged concerned glances as the human wandered off to examine the holographic display of Nox 5's terrain. "Should we do something?" Plorg asked quietly. "Some sort of humanitarian intervention." Krelmix sighed, his breathing sacs deflating dramatically. "The rules are clear. Any sentient species can enter if they pass the preliminary tests," which he did. "Besides, he signed all the waivers. What a waste of perfectly good biomatter." Plorg gurgled sadly. Across the room, Mac Reynolds hummed to himself as he studied the deadly landscape where the competition would take place. The smile never left his face, but now there was something else in his eyes, something calculating, something ancient, something that might have given the other competitors pause, had any of them evolved to recognize it. It was the look of Earth's most successful predator, sizing up its hunting grounds. The orientation chamber aboard the station resembled a cosmic amphitheater, with each seat specifically designed to accommodate the wildly different anatomies of the competitors. Max sat in a standard humanoid chair, feeling distinctly ordinary among the collection of tentacles, exoskeletons, and gelatinous masses surrounding him. Moderator Krelmix floated onto the central platform, his hover disk emitting a soft hum. "Welcome, apex predators of the galaxy, to the 94th Galactic Hunting Competition. You represent the most lethal evolutionary paths in the known universe. A round of various species-specific vocalizations filled the chamber, everything from reverberating roars to ultrasonic clicks. For those competing for the first time, Krelnix continued, his eye stalks swiveling toward Mac. Let me explain the format. Tomorrow at dawn, you will be teleported to separate locations on HFY. Your objective is simple: survive for 10 planetary rotations while hunting the most dangerous indigenous creatures. Points are awarded based on size, lethality, and rarity of your kills. The massive view screen behind Krelnix displayed a rotating hologram of a dark, forbidding planet with twisted forests and craggy mountains. HFY is classified as a death world, Category 7. It evolved in a high radiation zone with triple the standard gravity of most habitable planets. As a result, its wildlife is particularly resilient and aggressive. Various nightmare creatures flashed across the screen: a 12-legged predator with multiple mouths running down its spine, a floating jellyfish-like entity that appeared to be partially phased into another dimension, and something that resembled a cross between a scorpion and a bulldozer. Each competitor may bring their natural biological weapons, obviously, and 3 pieces of technological equipment. No firearms or explosives. No communication devices. And absolutely no antimatter. This last rule prompted a disappointed hiss from a shadowy competitor in the back row. Now, let me introduce this cycle's top contenders. Krelnix announced. The hologram shifted to display a towering insectoid form. Returning champion Traz of Gorgonex Prime, winner of 3 consecutive competitions. His exoskeleton can withstand temperatures that would melt spacecraft hulls, and his natural venom causes instant cellular breakdown. Traz rose from his specialized seat, clicking his mandibles and extending his 6 arms in a display of dominance that sent several nearby competitors shrinking back. Next, we have Valorex of the Cyclon Collective. The hologram showed a willowy, almost ethereal being with translucent skin that revealed a pulsing network of bioluminescent neural pathways. Don't let the delicate appearance fool you, Krelnix warned. Valorex is telepathic, capable of sensing prey across vast distances and inducing terror paralysis in most species. Valorex didn't stand but simply glowed brighter, sending a wave of unease through the chamber. Also joining us is Gloxinar of the Venom Pits. A hulking reptilian form appeared on screen, covered in bulging poison sacs and sporting retractable claws that leaked a smoking fluid. Gloxinar's body produces 17 distinct toxins, each customizable to specific prey. He can alter his biochemistry mid-hunt. Gloxinar rose, his scales shifting color in a hypnotic pattern. I look forward to adding new toxins to my collection, he announced, his forked tongue flicking in Mac's direction. I've never sampled human before. And finally, Krelnix continued, seemingly reluctant, we have Mac Reynolds of Earth. The hologram showed a simple bipedal silhouette that looked pathetically ordinary compared to the previous competitors. Mr. Reynolds is, well, human. They are an endurance-capable species with limited natural defenses, but demonstrated tool usage skills. A wave of something between amusement and confusion rippled through the assembly. Several competitors exchanged glances, clearly wondering if this was some sort of elaborate joke. Max stood up and waved cheerfully. Pleasure to meet you all, looking forward to a sporting competition. Is this permitted? Rumbled a competitor with what appeared to be volcanic vents along its spine. Bringing prey species to a hunting competition seems distasteful. The human has met all technical requirements. Krelnix explained, sounding somewhat apologetic. And humans are technically classified as predators on their homeworld, albeit unimpressive ones. I have a question. Mac raised his hand like a schoolchild. Are we allowed to use equipment found on the planet? You know, sticks, rocks, that sort of thing? The question prompted what could only be described as alien laughter throughout the chamber. Yes, primitive one, Krelnix answered, trying to be diplomatic. Indigenous materials are permitted, though I doubt sticks will be effective against a HFY spine crawler. Perfect, Mac nodded, making a note on a small paper notebook he pulled from his pocket, a curiosity that drew stares from nearby competitors accustomed to neural interfaces and holographic displays. After the orientation, competitors filed toward the equipment verification station. Traz proudly displayed his vibro-edge hunting blades, molecular disruptor, and atmospheric exchanger. Valorex brought a psionic amplifier, phase shifter, and neural disruptor mesh. Gloxinar's equipment included a toxin synthesizer, adaptive camouflage skin, and gravity modulator. When Mac's turn came, he emptied his bag onto the inspection table, a worn multi-tool, a coil of synthetic rope, and what appeared to be a simple water filtration device. The equipment inspector, a robotic entity with 17 appendages, scanned each item carefully. These items are unusually primitive, it noted. The multi-tool contains only basic functions, no quantum applications, no AI assistance. It gets the job done, Mac shrugged. Are you certain these are your selected competition items? Once registered, no substitutions are permitted. Absolutely certain, Mac confirmed with another of his unsettling smiles. Later, in the pre-competition dining hall, Mac sat alone at a table designed for standard humanoid anatomy, calmly eating what appeared to be a dehydrated meal pack. Valorex glided over, curiosity evident in the pulsing patterns beneath its translucent skin. I cannot read your mind, Valorex stated, its voice like wind chimes in a breeze. Most unusual. Few species resist cyclone telepathy. Mac tapped his temple. Nothing special about me, just the way humans are wired, I guess. You do not fear the competition. My scans detect no elevated stress hormones, no preparation biochemistry. All other competitors are in pre-hunt physiological states. Mac chewed thoughtfully, before answering. Oh, I'm prepared, just in a different way. You will die. Valorex stated, matter-of-factly. Your chances of survival are calculated at less than 2%. Never tell me the odds, Mac replied with a wink. Makes life more interesting that way. As Valorex drifted away, perplexed, Gloxinar approached, looming over the table. Droplets of venom sizzled where they fell on the metallic surface. I've analyzed your species' biochemistry from the central database, the reptilian hunter announced. Humans are surprisingly complex. Your pain receptors particularly interest me. Glad to hear it, Mac replied, not looking up from his meal. Always nice to be appreciated. Most beings scream when they sense my approach, Gloxinar noted, clearly disappointed by Mac's lack of fear. Your olfactory system must be particularly limited. Or maybe I just like the smell of danger in the morning. Mac quipped, finally looking up. Smells like victory. Gloxinar's head tilted in confusion, clearly not understanding the reference. Just a little human humor, Mac explained, returning to his meal. You'll get it eventually. As the bewildered venomous hunter withdrew, Mac glanced around the room at his competitors, each one a perfect killing machine honed by millions of years of evolution. He pulled out his notebook again, and made another entry, appearing completely at ease, despite being surrounded by creatures that could tear him apart in seconds. In the monitoring room, Krelmix and Plorg watched the human on the security feeds. I don't understand, Plorg bubbled anxiously. He shows no fear. Has the human brain not processed the danger? Maybe their species lacks survival instincts, Krelmix suggested, all 17 eyes blinking in confusion. Or perhaps, Plorg ventured, he knows something we don't. Dawn broke over Noxif with 3 blood-red suns crawling above the horizon. The teleportation grid activated with a series of flashes across the planet's surface, depositing each competitor in their randomly assigned starting zone. Mac materialized in a dense purple forest, trees twisting toward the crimson sky like arthritic fingers. The air was thick, soupy with unfamiliar spores and nearly twice Earth's oxygen content. The gravity immediately pressed down on him, not crippling, but certainly noticeable. Location confirmed. Competitor Reynolds successfully deployed, chimed his tracker implant, the only tech all hunters carried. Competition begins in 3, 2, 1. A distant horn-like sound echoed across the landscape. Let the games begin, Mac muttered, immediately crouching to examine the soil and nearby vegetation. In the orbital monitoring station, representatives from various galactic media outlets crowded around viewing screens. Each competitor had a dedicated feed, with additional drones capturing particularly interesting encounters. As expected, Traz has already secured his first kill, announced the commentator, a multi-throated Ventaxian. A juvenile spine crawler, dispatched with minimal effort. The screens showed the insectoid champion standing triumphantly over a massive carcass, ichor dripping from his mandibles. Valorex appears to be using telepathic scanning to map nearby prey movements, continued the commentator as another screen showed the luminous alien in a meditative pose, neural pathways pulsing rhythmically. And Gloxinar has begun synthesizing toxins specific to Noxif biochemistry. Classic strategy from the Venom Pit's champion. Attention reluctantly shifted to the human's feed. As for the, human competitor, the commentator struggled to maintain professional interest. He appears to be collecting sticks and rocks. Perhaps a primitive shelter construction. The screen showed Mac gathering materials with surprising efficiency, testing the weight and balance of various stones, examining tree fibers for strength. Is this some sort of human pre-hunt ritual? Asked a confused guest commentator. Unknown. Their species has no documented hunting behaviors in the Galactic database. Within hours the competition was in full swing. Traz had accumulated 3 major kills, his exoskeleton gleaming with trophy fluids. Valorex had psychically dominated a flying predator, forcing it to attack its own kind. Gloxinar had melted through an underground nest of venomous burrowers, absorbing their toxins into his own biological arsenal. The human feed, meanwhile, showed Mac fashioning primitive tools, a surprisingly sharp spear, a sturdy sling, a crude hammer. He worked methodically, testing each creation before moving on. The human continues with tool preparation, the commentator noted with obvious boredom. No hunting activity observed. At this rate, he'll score 0 points. Krelnix hovered nearby, watching with unexpected interest. He's survived 4 hours. That's 3 hours longer than our projections. Just then, the human feed showed movement. Mac had frozen in place, head tilted slightly. Something massive shifted in the underbrush nearby, a predator at least 4 times his size, with rows of sensing organs and vibrating appendages that sliced through vegetation effortlessly. Oh, the human has attracted a mature slasher fiend. The commentator suddenly perked up. These creatures are responsible for 17 competitor deaths in previous competitions. This should be quick. Instead of running, Mac slowly reached for his rope and began fashioning what appeared to be a simple loop. Is he making a leash? One commentator asked incredulously. The slasher fiend charged. The human dodged with surprising agility, rolling beneath the creature's slicing limbs. In one fluid motion, he flung his rope loop around a sensitive sensor cluster and pulled tight. The creature shrieked, thrashing wildly as Mac leveraged his body weight to control its movement. Remarkable, the human is using the momentum of the larger creature against it. After a brief but intense struggle, Mac maneuvered the disoriented creature into a natural pit, where he finished it with several precisely aimed stone strikes to what appeared to be neural clusters. Silence fell over the commentary booth. The human has successfully hunted a mature slasher fiend, the announcer finally stated, mandibles clicking in disbelief. Using only manually constructed tools and what appears to be knowledge of comparative xenobiology. In the forest, Mac calmly harvested useful parts from the creature, tough hide for protection, sharp appendages for tools. He placed his hand on the dead creature briefly, a gesture of respect, before continuing his hunt. By nightfall, the leaderboard showed Traz still dominant with Valorex and Gloxinar close behind. But Mac Reynolds had climbed to 4th place, using methods that left the observers baffled. He doesn't hunt like a predator, Krelnix noted. He hunts like something that had to learn how to hunt. Something that wasn't born to it. Perhaps that's what makes him dangerous, Plorg suggested. The others rely on what they are. He relies on what he knows. As darkness enveloped Noxif, the orbital screen showed each competitor settling in for the night. Traz burrowed into the ground, his exoskeleton hardening into an impenetrable shell. Valorex created a psychic perimeter that would alert him to approaching threats. Gloxinar secreted a protective mucus cocoon that would dissolve at first light. Mac Reynolds simply climbed a tree, secured himself with his rope, and went to sleep, a small smile on his face, perfectly vulnerable, yet somehow, impossibly, still alive. 3 days into the competition, Noxiv's unstable tectonic structure shifted dramatically. The planet's triple suns aligned in a rare configuration, triggering massive gravitational fluctuations. Chasms split the ground without warning. Electromagnetic storms disrupted tracking systems. Acid rain fell in sheets, burning through vegetation and exposed equipment alike. In the orbital station, chaos erupted. Unexpected Class 7 planetary event. Krelnix announced to the panicking staff. All standard competition protocols suspended. Competitor survival takes priority. The monitoring screens flickered with static but showed glimpses of the unfolding crisis. Traz, caught in an electromagnetic storm, struggled as his exoskeleton absorbed dangerous levels of radiation. Valorex's psychic abilities were disrupted by the planetary disturbance, leaving the telepathic hunter vulnerable. Gloxinar found his toxins neutralized by atmospheric changes, his adaptive skin failing to compensate. Where's the human? Krelnix demanded, scanning the monitors. Feed 19. Someone called out. Western Quadrant. Unlike the other competitors, Mac Reynolds appeared calm, methodically securing his makeshift camp against the storm. He'd constructed a crude shelter from local vegetation and the hide of his kills, positioned at an angle that deflected the worst of the acid rain. A small drainage system channeled the runoff away from his position. He prepared for this, Plorg bubbled in astonishment. How could he know? He didn't. Krelnix realized. Look at his equipment. The screens showed Mac using his water filter to collect acid rain, separating useful compounds. His multi-tool had been adapted to serve as an improvised compass and barometer. The rope, now reinforced with fibers from local flora, secured his position against increasing winds. He's not using specialized survival tech. Krelnix marveled. He's adapting general-purpose tools. As the day progressed, the competition transformed. What was once a test of hunting prowess became a desperate fight for survival. 3 lesser-known competitors had already perished, their tracking signals gone dark. Traz abandoned hunting to seek shelter in a cave system, his mighty exoskeleton showing signs of stress fractures. Valorex, unable to rely on telepathy, retreated to high ground, visibly disoriented. Gloxanar's toxic secretions reacted badly with the atmospheric changes, causing him painful biochemical imbalances. Meanwhile, Mac Reynolds continued hunting. The human has taken down a ridge stalker, the commentator announced in disbelief. During a planetary crisis event, the screens showed Mac using the environmental chaos to his advantage. He'd lured the massive predator into a zone of electromagnetic interference, disrupting its natural sensing abilities. A simple trap, rocks positioned to cascade during a tremor, had done the rest. This changes everything, a competition analyst noted. The specialized adaptations of our top competitors have become liabilities under these conditions. Back on the planet's surface, Mac encountered a wounded Valorex. The telepathic hunter's translucent skin had developed lesions from exposure to the acid rain, neural pathways fluctuating erratically. Competition rules permitted eliminating other competitors, a rarely exercised but valid strategy. Mac approached carefully, spear in hand. The watching audience tensed. Instead of attacking, Mac offered Valorex shelter beneath his acid-resistant canopy. Using his water filter, he cleansed the worst of the corrosive substances from the alien's damaged skin. Why? Valorex's weakened voice chimed, neural patterns confused. Because that's what humans do, Mac replied simply, applying a poultice of local plants to the alien's wounds. We survived together. When night fell on the 3rd day, the leaderboard had shifted dramatically. Traz remained in first place, but had scored no new points. Mac Reynolds had risen to second, just behind the champion. Valorex held third, while Gloxanar had fallen to fifth behind a Keltarian competitor who'd adapted well to the crisis. In the monitoring station, officials huddled an emergency conference. Should we evacuate them? Asked a safety coordinator. The planetary instability exceeds competition parameters. Negative, the head judge decided. The competitors' tracking vitals remain within acceptable ranges. The hunt continues. Krelnix stared at the screen showing Mac Reynolds, who was now using parts salvaged from a defeated competitor's abandoned equipment to upgrade his own tools. I don't think that human needs our help, Krelnix observed quietly. But the others might need protection from him. Day 9 of the competition. Only 5 competitors remained alive. Nox IV had revealed its ultimate challenge. The abyssal maw. A predator so lethal, it was considered mythical by many xenobiologists. The creature emerged from the planet's core through a massive fissure, drawn to the surface by the recent tectonic disturbances. Its body defied conventional biology. Part solid matter, part energy field, with multiple phases of existence occurring simultaneously. Hunting sensors detected it in 3 different dimensional planes at once. The abyssal maw has never been successfully hunted, the commentator announced, voice trembling with excitement. Any competitor who claims this prize would gain an insurmountable lead. The orbital screens tracked the remaining hunters as they converged on the creature's location, drawn by the ultimate challenge and desperate to secure victory. Traz arrived first, his 6 limbs brandishing an arsenal of weapons. His exoskeleton, though damaged from the electromagnetic storms, still gleamed impressively in the alien sunlight. I claim this kill in the name of Gorgon X Prime, he declared, mandibles clicking in anticipation. The abyssal maw responded with a dimensional shift that rendered Traz's physical attacks useless. The champion's weapons passed harmlessly through the creature as it existed partially in another phase of reality. Traz's natural venom, lethal to most life forms, dissipated ineffectively against the creature's energy field. Valorex attempted a psychic assault, neural pathways glowing brilliantly as the telepathic hunter projected waves of mental energy. For a moment, the abyssal maw seemed to falter, caught in Valorex's psychic grip. Remarkable, gasped the commentator. Valorex has established partial psychic dominance. The victory was short-lived. The creature's multidimensional nature allowed it to slip free of Valorex's mental grasp. With a casual swipe of an appendage that seemed to bend space itself, it sent the telepathic hunter flying backward, consciousness dimming. Gloxanar deployed his most potent toxins, specially formulated for this encounter. The venomous hunter had analyzed trace particles and developed a compound theoretically capable of affecting the creature's unique biology. The toxins formed a colorful cloud that engulfed the abyssal maw. For several tense moments, the creature appeared to struggle, its energy field fluctuating wildly. Then, with a sound that defied description, it adapted, absorbing the toxins and incorporating them into its own biological matrix. Unprecedented, the commentator shrieked. The abyssal maw has weaponized Gloxinar's toxins. The enhanced creature lashed out, droplets of toxic energy splashing across Gloxinar's adaptive skin. Even his specialized defenses couldn't withstand the assault. The venomous hunter retreated, scales blackening from exposure. In the orbital station, officials watched in stunned silence as their greatest champions failed. "Where's the human?" Krelnik suddenly asked, scanning the monitors. "Feed 19 is offline," an assistant reported nervously. "Last location was 2 kilometers south of the confrontation site." "He's fled," someone suggested. "Smart move, actually." "I don't think so," Krelnik murmured, eyes narrowing. "Reroute drone 7 to the southern approach." The screen flickered to life, showing a new angle of the battlefield. There, approaching from downwind, crawled Mac Reynolds. His makeshift armor now incorporated salvaged pieces of alien technology. In one hand he gripped his original multi-tool, now modified almost beyond recognition. In the other, what appeared to be a primitive spear tipped with crystalline material harvested from the planet's core. What truly caught Krelnik's attention, however, was the device strapped to Mac's back, Valorex's abandoned psionic amplifier, crudely rewired and connected to components from Gloxinar's toxin synthesizer. "By the Galactic core," Krelnik whispered. "He's combined their technologies." The abyssal maw sensed a new approach, turning its multi-dimensional awareness toward Mac. The human didn't attack immediately. Instead, he circled cautiously, studying the creature's movement patterns, noting how it phased between dimensional states. The watching audience, competitors included, held their collective breath. Mac struck with unexpected precision. The psionic amplifier activated first, disrupting the creature's dimensional shifting just as Traz launched another desperate attack. The insectoid champion's blades, previously useless, suddenly found purchase in momentarily solid flesh. The abyssal maw roared across multiple frequency spectrums, focusing its attention on Traz, exactly as Mac had planned. While the creature was distracted, he activated the modified toxin synthesizer, not to produce poison, but to generate a specific electromagnetic frequency. "He's creating a dimensional anchor," a xenophysicist in the observation deck exclaimed, forcing the creature to maintain a single-phase state. With the abyssal maw temporarily locked into physical form, Mac's final attack came swiftly. His crystalline spear, harvested from the same geological formation that spawned the creature, struck a precise point where multiple energy fields converged. The abyssal maw convulsed, its dimensional matrix collapsing. With a sound like reality tearing, it folded in upon itself, and fell still. Silence descended across Nox Fiv. The human, the commentator struggled to find words. Competitor Mac Reynolds has successfully hunted the abyssal maw. There are no precedents for this achievement. In the aftermath, Traz approached Mac, mandibles working silently, before finally finding words. "You used me as bait," the champion accused, though there was a note of reluctant respect in his clicking voice. "I prefer to call it tactical positioning," Mac replied with a grin. "But yes, why not claim the kill alone? Why involve me at all?" Mac gestured to the fallen creature. "Look at the size of that thing. Did you really think any of us could take it down solo?" Traz's compound eyes studied the human with new understanding. "You never intended to hunt alone." "Humans rarely do," Mac answered simply. "Not when the prey is worth hunting." The award ceremony aboard the orbital station gleamed with pomp and circumstance. Representatives from 100 worlds gathered in the Grand Observatory, its transparent dome offering a perfect view of Nox 5's 3 setting suns. Mac Reynolds stood on the central platform, looking oddly ordinary in his tattered hunting gear. Beside him towered the hulking form of Traz, the former champion's exoskeleton polished for the occasion but still bearing scars from the hunt. Valorex glowed softly from the third podium, neural pathways pulsing with subdued colors that indicated respectful acknowledgement. The final scores were unprecedented. Mac's successful hunt of the abyssal maw had catapulted him to first place, breaking all previous records. Traz held second, his participation in the final hunt recognized with bonus points. Valorex secured third, while Gloxinar, still nursing chemical burns, glowered from fourth position. Grand Arbiter Zoxthul, a being composed primarily of sentient gas contained within an ornate mechanical shell, hovered forward to present the apex trophy. In 94 cycles of competition, Zoxthul's voice resonated through the chamber. "We have never witnessed hunting prowess of this caliber. Never observed such unconventional methods." Mac accepted the crystalline trophy with a casual nod, as if receiving a participation medal at a local sporting event, rather than the galaxy's highest hunting honor. The competition committee requests an explanation, Zoxthul continued. How did a species with no natural weapons, no evolutionary advantages, achieve this victory? Mac glanced around at the assembled aliens, each one a perfect killing machine, each one now watching him with new respect tinged with unease. It's pretty simple, Mac replied, voice echoing through the silent chamber. Humans aren't born apex predators, we had to become them. He set the trophy down and paced the platform, warming to his subject. See, every species here evolved natural weapons, claws, venom, psychic abilities, whatever. You were born with everything you needed to hunt. Humans weren't that lucky. We're soft, slow and squishy. A ripple of agreement passed through the audience. But that disadvantage became our greatest strength. When you're born with everything you need, you stop adapting. When you're born with almost nothing, Mac grinned, you have to get creative. Krelmix floated forward, 17 eyes blinking rapidly. But the abyssal maw, how did you know its weaknesses? I didn't, Mac shrugged. But I watched each of you fail in different ways. Traz's physical attacks passed through it. Valorex briefly controlled it mentally before losing grip. Gloxinar's toxins affected it temporarily before being absorbed. 3 failures that, combined, showed me exactly how to succeed. The audience murmured as understanding dawned. On Earth, we have a saying, Mac continued. We don't have to be the strongest, fastest, or most venomous predator. We just have to be the most adaptable. Grand Arbiter Zoxthul's mechanical shell whirred as it processed this information. The Galactic Classification Committee will need to reassess humanity's threat designation in light of these revelations. Oh, Mac raised an eyebrow. What are we currently classified as? Category 3 predatory species, Krelmix answered. Minimal natural weapons, limited territorial range, moderate tool usage. And now, I believe, Zoxthul announced formally, that humanity will be reclassified as Category 1 apex predators, with a special designation. Approach with extreme caution. Mac laughed, the sound echoing uncomfortably through the chamber. That's flattering, but unnecessary. Humans aren't looking to hunt anyone in this room. Then why participate in our competition? Valorex chimed, neural pathways pulsing with curiosity. Honestly? Mac picked up the trophy again, studying its crystalline facets. I was bored, and I wanted to see if I could do it. The silence that followed was profound. You risked death, because you were bored. Traz's mandibles clicked in disbelief. Welcome to humanity, Mac grinned. We climb mountains because they're there. We dive into ocean trenches because no one's been before. We launch ourselves into space in metal cans, because we're curious what's out there. He gestured toward the viewport, where Earth's sun was barely visible, a tiny speck in the vastness of space. We're not dangerous because we're strong. We're dangerous because we're curious, adaptable, and just a little bit crazy. Later, as the ceremony concluded and competitors prepared to return to their home worlds, Krelmix approached Mac privately. Will other humans enter future competitions? The official asked, trying to sound casual but with a hint of anxiety in his voice synthesizer. Probably, Mac nodded, packing his battered equipment. Though next time we might bring better gear. This was just to test the waters, so to speak. Test the waters. Krelmix's translation matrix struggled with the idiom. Figure of speech. This was reconnaissance. Now we know what we're up against. Krelmix's 17 eyes blinked in rapid succession. You mean this was just practice? Something like that, Mac replied with a wink. By the way, when's the registration deadline for next cycle's competition? I have a friend named Dave who would love this. He's actually good at hunting. As Mac walked away whistling, Krelmix stared after him, all 17 eyes wide, with the dawning realization that the galaxy's predatory hierarchy had just been irrevocably changed. Somewhere on Earth, Dave was about to receive a very interesting call.